Hi everybody, thank you very much for coming out today. Great to meet you all. Just to introduce myself, I'm Adam Taylor. I am the General Manager of Automation Advisory and Consulting Services at Quanton. Just a bit about me. So I spent over 15 years delivering world-class intelligent automation and digital transformation services across both New Zealand, Australia and the USA. One of my core skill sets is to help organisations very similar to yourselves by creating unique digital strategies and putting associated operating models in place to help you succeed in the age of a digital workforce. So before we start, just a quick fact. The fourth industrial revolution is happening now. So what is the fourth industrial revolution? It's all around artificial intelligence. It's all around digital automation. It's all around cognitive computing, artificial intelligence, supported by the Internet of Things and quantum computing. So what this means, this has resulted in just over half of the names of the companies in the Fortune 500 to disappear since the year 2000. It's a Kodak moment. You've got your blockbuster videos, etc., that have all been disrupted by digital technology. So what that means is that businesses are needing to automate due to the impact of common business challenges now being felt at a much greater magnitude across multiple segments, such as you've got your economic pressures to achieve more with less. You've got a higher demand from a customer experience and meeting those demands. You're addressing complex IT challenges and understanding how you can decouple the rate of business transformation and change from IT, whilst also understanding how to decrease barriers to global commerce through an ever-changing competitive landscape. So, pretty powerful statement that Gartner predicts that by 2020, which is only next year, customers will manage 85% of their relationship with enterprise organisations without interacting with a human. Whilst we've got a new generation of workforce shaking up the way we operate, with your whole millennials and your Generation Z, the whole workforce demands are changing. You've got culture that's being built on emotional intelligence. You've got authentic transparency. You've got the whole remote work revolution. You've got the demand and desire for work-life balance, whilst you've got high-savvy, high-tech influencers joining the workforce. And what that all means when we put it all together is that whole new generation have little interest or little tolerance in historically mundane work. What that meant is it's now fueling the adoption for a digital ecosystem. And when we talk about intelligent automation, we talk about digital transformation, we're talking about content intelligence and process intelligence. What's the current state of my process? What's the health of my process? How much is my process costing me? What's the cost per transaction? Where's the bottlenecks? More importantly, what's the deviations in my process? Understanding what contents is coming into my organization and what information I need or intelligence I need out of that content, such as, for example, a tax invoice or an application form or a medical form or a discharge form or a referral form or a credit application form. We've got robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, and what we're seeing the rise in now is your natural language processing or NLP and machine learning. So artificial intelligence, we just want to clarify what we mean by AI because it's a very loose term that's been used quite dramatically over different verticals and industries. When we're talking about artificial intelligence and intelligent automation, we're saying it's effectively an umbrella term to describe multiple technologies such as IA, machine learning, natural processing, and cognitive automation. Now, intelligent automation has essentially reshaped every aspect of the modern enterprise, from a customer experience, from your products and service innovation, from distribution and marketing and sales, the way you're managing your digital fulfillment. More importantly, how you're managing risk, how you're managing compliance, how you're managing regulatory compliance, whilst enhancing corporate control. So intelligent automation is essentially the integration of digital technology to enable all areas of the business to fundamentally change how they operate, providing a short-term benefit whilst creating long-term transformation What we mean by this is essentially continue focusing on the end goal, continue focusing on what the business is trying to achieve from a transformation, and then understand how we can start small, get ourselves comfortable, get ourselves familiar, get our structures in place, get our governance in place to help mature and grow. So we're focusing on short-term imperatives whilst providing the capability and the focus on long-term transformation. When we talk about intelligent automation, one thing I want to touch on is BPM. So BPM absolutely still has a place, and it's very, very critical that your organization doesn't lose focus on BPM. Now, although BPM and RPA are distinct in their own right, they absolutely complement each other. You still need to manage how your information travels through your business. What's our workflow? How are we going to store this information? How are we going to route this information to enable RPA to assist by automating tasks around that BPM focus? Now, what we're seeing specifically in the New Zealand market is the rise of assisted automation, which is why we say hello to your helpful new assistant. When we talk about assisted automation, we're saying that robots, digital workers or bots are essentially being used now to augment human workforce rather than replace in areas such as contact centers to support frontline team members. We're seeing this drive to enable people on the phone to spend more time engaging with customers, to spend more time managing that customer relationship, while the robots work in the background to help with the mundane work, pulling that customer information up from multiple systems or updating that information from multiple systems. So again, it's all around how we can use technology to improve the customer experience, but to augment the human activity at the same time. Now, what that results in enables you to expand your team's capacity 24/7. And again, you've got your virtual workforce or your assisted automation, which augments the human workforce. And then you've got your unattended automation, which is where the RPA or the digital worker or the robot runs alongside the team member to replace that function of that process from the team. Now, when we talk about automation, we talk about RPA, we talk about digital workforce, I just want to be really clear. The opportunity is not to take the human out of the workforce, but to take the robot out of the human. It's about how we can empower our people to focus on value-added work, how to focus on more enjoyable work by focusing on our customers, by focusing on our customer relationships more, by taking away the distractions and the mundane work to enable them to focus on what's truly important to our organizations. Now, when we talk about RPA or intelligent automation as well, it's all about how do you expand the reach of your digital workforce. Again, you've started small, you've put the technology in, you're doing basic task automation. But when we say we're talking about future focus, we're talking about how can we scale, how can we make the most out of this. It's all around expanding our reach. And that's done through using technology, through embedding key skills such as visually understanding elements of my user interface. Understanding, again, what's in my information that's coming into my business through that content intelligence. What is it I need to extract? Once I've extracted it, then you're empowering the digital workforce to make a decision based on what it's extracted. Process understanding, again, understanding patterns, deviations, but also conversational understanding, so sentiment of text. Am I getting a lot of communication coming to my business where the sentiment is tones quite negative or is quite positive, or is sentiment is frustrating? That obviously those customers need a high priority. So how can you understand the sentiment of your text to route that a different way to empower your team to pick up the high priority customer complaints first? And then obviously you've got your custom skills ability where you can develop your own skills, or you've got a whole wider ecosystem through UiPath Go, which is essentially your app store for multiple different cognitive technologies that you can put into your process to help utilize tools and skills that are already out there in the market to complement what your organization is trying to achieve directly into your process. So essentially we're saying we're constantly evolving, we're constantly learning new skills. So again, we're starting small. We're talking about RPA, with some computer vision, whilst utilizing additional skills and additional capabilities by increasing process automation intelligence. And that's where you're starting to augment humans. That's where you're starting to put artificial intelligence, and that's where you're starting to do some really, really smart, funky stuff to increase the scope of ability for more complex cognitive automation tasks. So through the UiPath Go store, as we're talking about, you've got multiple different layers. You've got artificial intelligence, machine learning capabilities that you can bolt directly into your process. Your process case management, your natural language and digital assistants, so your chatbots integration, etc., etc. Your process mining, your digitization, again, all around structuring that information, and your architecture. Let's take a scenario. We've got a relatively complex medical business that's got multiple sites geographically spread. It's got significant cost-to-income ratio pressures. They are a business that's progressing and they're looking for a substantial competitive advantage, and they have a medium-sized contact center. Now, what is it they're wanting to try and achieve through going down an automation route? They want to reduce their customer wait time. They want a positive ROI within the next 1 to 2 years tops. They want to improve their customer experience. Now, what they want to try and achieve is my language. So being geographically spread, they've got very different diverse range of cultures, nationalities based on those geographical areas. So they want to introduce how can our customers talk to us in their native language whenever they want. They want to provide scalable growth. Now, they've got cost to income ratio pressures, so scalability for them is a major challenge. But they want to start small. So they want a minimum viable product with a way to enhance it. So let's talk about the current state. They have got 7,000 requests a month coming into their online booking platform. 20% can be booked end to end. The rest are called back via the contact center, but the challenge is very few are actually contacted. You've then got 155,000 calls coming into the contact center directly a month. 85% inbound versus 15% outbound, which is typically your follow-up callbacks. Now, out of those 7,000 requests that are going to online, 5,000 of those are being called back to the contact center from not hearing anything back. So, significant calling volume. Even bigger challenge for them is it's peak-based. So lunchtime is a massive peak on a contact center for them. They just can't get people to manage those peak times. They've got a relatively complex booking process, ineffective online booking system, and again, the business can't scale. So how can we help? We're talking minimum viable product again. We're putting in UiPath directly in the middle of the contact center to the booking system. So again, if we look at our new virtual assistants or our assisted automation, it's to enable the contact center to engage with the customers, whilst UiPath is managing the booking, managing the retrieval to ensure that that customer experience is being met. Enhanced option is, okay, how can we now take it to that next level to provide us the ability to scale whilst reducing that cost to income ratio? So what we're going to do, the patients will call directly into the 0800 number. That will be answered by Amazon. Amazon will provide the IVR for that customer. I'd like to book a pregnancy scan, for example. Amazon would then reply with, where would you like to book your pregnancy scan? What time would you like? In the meantime, UiPath has now switched roles. UiPath is now going to take the outcome from the conversation from Amazon directly to the booking system. So, for example, I'd like to book a pregnancy scan. When would you like to book your pregnancy scan for? I'd like to book at 12 o'clock in Ponsonby, please. That would then trigger UiPath off to go and see if there's an available booking time at 12 o'clock in Ponsonby. If there's not, the response will come back to UiPath to Amazon to say, sorry, that time's actually allocated. How about 1 p.m.? Contact center still very much remains, but at a much more reduced capacity to manage the complex cases or the ones that require customer-to-customer touch, where frustration or whether Amazon isn't able to fulfill what that request is. Sorry, whilst also enabling the customer to continue through the online booking platform. Another example, and this is a very typical use case for you, accounts payable through both Abby and UiPath. You've got your infrastructure. You've got invoices coming in by post or directly by email. Invoices coming in by post, push through an MFP or scanner, saved to a network on the folder. UiPath is then connecting directly to the mailbox or to the folder, picking up those invoices that require processing, pushing them to Abby, which performs the data extraction process, passes it back to UiPath to do any, checking that's required or validations that's required or exception management that needs to occur, and then entering invoices directly into your AP or ERP system. So very simple use case, but again, it's how those technologies come together as part of the ecosystem to give you a seamless experience. It's a journey. So undertaking an intelligent automation journey enables companies to plan and execute the technology on an enterprise-wide basis. It's all around how do we break down those integrated silos? How do we break down those integrated applications, data, and build our internal capabilities as a whole to adapt and scale? But more importantly, to create value for your business and that competitive advantage. It has to be planned as a journey, and it has to be managed centrally to enable you to scale and grow. You can't have multiple different teams within your organization trying to achieve the same through multiple different technology sets going through different directions, because all that's going to do is introduce you a higher technical debt. So let's talk about the life cycle. We're always talking to organizations about starting at your validation phase. Why are you considering automation? What are you wanting to achieve? What research and due diligence do we need to do with you based on what you're trying to achieve? What's your strategic goals? What's your business drivers? Once that's achieved, then let's do a proof of concept. Let's see if the technology is going to work specifically to your organization, specifically to your drivers. Once you've gone through the validation phase, you said, great, the technology's doing what I think it needs to do for us. We're happy. We now want to start moving forward. You go into your initialization phase. So you start understanding what your wider demand in your organization is. You start creating your pipeline. You're doing your technology decision. You're establishing your initial capability to get started. What do I need internally from my own people, or what do I need to bring on my organization to get started on this automation journey? And that's where your partners, your advisors can help you support by complementing resources or helping you identify resources and providing that training around it. And you automate your initial process. You then move into your build and embed, which again is where you start increasing your capability and capacity. You start standing up your center of excellence. You start training your teams more. You start building out that pipeline and delivering processes into BAU. You start maturing your governance. And what I mean by that is you start moving out of project mode into a BAU mode. So your governance moves from your typical governance reporting of cost, time, budget, etc., and it moves into more of a structured automation governance board. Where are we at from an individual process point of view? Where are we at from an ROI per process? What's our total capacity? It's all around building that specific governance requirements, which is when you should start realizing those benefits. But more importantly, you implement and design your support model. It's one thing to put technology and robots or digital workforce into a business, but 6 months down the track, once your business relies on this digital workforce and it stops working, how are you going to manage Who's going to support it? Who's going to service it? What's your BCP? That's why your governance, your change management, your support model is absolutely critical for success. You then got your mature and sustain phase, which is where you get your wider culture adoption. So this is where you take more strategic enterprise-wide approach. Your customers or your sales or your organization is now fully running a center of excellence. You continue to build your pipeline. You've now got enterprise-wide governance, and you're starting to realize that benefits again. The next stage, and this is again comes down to your strategy. What are you trying to achieve? What do you want to do? Is your mature into cognitive automation? This is where you start bringing multiple different technologies together into one as part of your ecosystem to move into creating a smart digital workforce. It becomes essentially your platform to operate integrated artificial intelligence. So, how do we know if intelligent automation is right for your business? Board members, decision makers are increasingly aware of the benefits, but the question should always remain, is this right for my business? Again, I'll bring it back. All I can recommend, understand your business strategy. What are you wanting to do? Why are you wanting to achieve this? Understand what your level of opportunity is. Have we got a great level for opportunity for automation, or have we got a very low level of opportunity for automation? Because that's going to help you decide which way you move forward with, or if you do. Calculate your future and potential benefit. Engage a partner to provide expertise. You don't have to do this alone. Let partners help you avoid making mistakes and understanding what traps are in place. Determine change and people impact, and I couldn't stress this anymore. You're introducing a whole new technology. You're introducing a technology that introduces a whole new workforce. You're introducing a whole new workforce that's going to complement your existing workforce, but you need to manage that change. I mean, it's absolutely natural for people to get cautious when you're bringing in a whole new digital workforce. The robot's here to take my job. It's not here to do that. So it's all around what messaging do we need to go out to our business? How do we control our business to make sure our employees are embracing this technology and on board as part of this process? And again, prove the technology. Define your vision for automation. So why are we doing this again? Once you define your vision will then use to evangelize it to the business. Define what your vision is for intelligent automation. So again, why, what, and what are the benefits we're looking for? Now, when we talk about it again, we've covered a lot. It's more than just a shareholder return. It's not just about a financial ROI when we're introducing these technologies. The art of the possibility is around employee value. It's about customer value. And again, it will always be about shareholder value. Around your ROIs, your hours back to your business, your compliance, your scalability. But again, how can we increase our customer value by increasing our customer experience, increasing our customer journey, bringing new services online faster? Now, a question for you. What is it your business is needing to do today, which is out of reach due to requiring a significant investment in FTE? So what is your business needing to do today, which is out of reach due to requiring a significant investment in people? Now, follow-on question. What's the cost to your business of not doing it? So what is it we're needing to do today that we can't do without a significant investment? And now what's the cost to your business for not doing that? That's where you start thinking future focused. So again, how can the technology help you with volume growth and peak management? How can the technology help you with regulatory compliance, quality and control, and process intelligence in your customer experience? How can you utilize the technology to bring a digital workforce on board to help achieve what's not possible without that significant investment in FTE? How can you free up your people by providing hours back through the technology to enable them to then focus on what your business is needing to achieve but can't currently achieve today because it's out of reach because of the cost of investment? Now, it's not all good news, but it's not Brexit. So Professor Leslie Wilcox from the London School of Economics has done some globally large research around RPA. And what he states is that reports are providing anecdotal evidence that between 30 to 50% of initial RPA implementations are stalling, failing to scale, being abandoned, or moving to other solutions. Now, that's a massive number. So again, when you get started, and this is why it's really important you find yourself a partner advisor, is because you need to understand and manage the known risks. Your strategy risks, your sourcing risks, your tool selection risks, your stakeholder buying risks, your launch and project risks, your operational execution risks. And again, I'll bring it back to your most important one, your change management risks and your maturity risks. Plan your organizational design before you start. Determine what your business impact is. Understand how you're going to onboard your digital workforce. Understand how you're going to interact with your digital workforce. Now, it's quite common, and we've seen it a lot. As soon as you put your digital workforce in, your employee gets empowered, they're doing value added, they're doing fun stuff, and the lines get blurred very quickly on who's responsible for that process. It's not my job anymore, it's a robot's job. Absolutely, it's a robot's job, but you're still accountable for that process being executed. So it's all around defining those handoffs, putting the races in place, making sure the business and technology are aligned on who's responsible, who's accountable. And design your organization. Who's in charge of automation? What does your center of excellence look like? How do you communicate that to your business? Now, build the skills and capacity needed for intelligent automation. Again, start small, grow big. What do you need to get started? Now, to get started, you don't need a large team. You don't need a full team. You know, you can transition roles up and down as your center of excellence scales, but essentially what you need to get started, you need business analysts to understand the process. But again, you don't need a full time. You need infrastructure involved to help design how the infrastructure is going to run. A solution architect to help you design how it's going to look. And then you can utilize the business to help drive the testing, help project manage it. You start small and grow your team as your center of excellence scales. But I'll bring it back. You're introducing a whole new way of working again, organizationally wide. Governance is absolutely critical, but governance needs to occur at multiple levels. You need your strategic governance, which is your executive team setting the strategic direction for the business. You've got your operational governance, which is to help implement the automation strategy and support the overall governance. You've got your technical governance, which is essentially your operational governance, which focuses on quality, focuses on SLA management, focuses on knowledge sharing, and focuses on facilitating communications across the business. So, coming out of it, key recommendations. Forrester's in-depth survey of 100 RPA decision makers about the application challenges of implementation and the impact of RPA come out with several important recommendations. You consolidate or coordinate AI, IA, and RPA activity center of excellence into one. When you're talking about a center of excellence, look at a center of excellence for digital transformation or for automation. Don't run them separately. Don't have a separate chatbot center of excellence and a separate AI and a separate RPA. Bring them all to one because you're going to get the best benefits out of that. Start centrally, but plan to federate responsibility to the business. Build the operating model around automation, not specific to a technology stack. So again, how your business is going to operate with this technology, service it, manage it, support it, is across multiples. But more importantly, strong governance is embedded into your program with the correct business owners and support from IT. So wrapping it up, where to start? Now, it's too early to do everything, but again, it's not too late to do nothing. Start small, but focus on that big picture. Focus on the end game. Understand what your level of opportunity is. Focus on existing processes and find a pain point for your business. And focus on inline processing. So just wrapping takeaways. Again, short-term benefit. Focus on solutions which will deliver short-term business benefit, but again, create the foundations for long-term transformations. Focus business-wide. Control change impact. Now, this needs to be thought about quite significantly when you're talking about automation. Separate how the process is executed versus how the process is designed. It may be a bad process, but you have to ask yourself, does the process warrant process re-engineering, or does the pain get eliminated by automating that process? Focus on strategic value. Help drive strategic business value by looking beyond the narrow scope of cost control to potential of customer, shareholder, and staff benefit, and extend the reach of automation by looking at complementary